Hello, everybody. My name is James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And this week, we're looking forward to Sunday's encounter between Crystal Palace and Leeds. Let me first introduce you to our Palace correspondent, Migtavius. How are you, Mig?
How you doing? I'm not too bad, James. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Thank you, mate. And our Leeds United correspondent, Andy Martin. How are you, Andy?
Hello, James. Yeah, good to be here.
Good.
Looking forward to this.
Yes, likewise. We should say at this point, we are pre-recording on Monday night, just in case there's any injury news on Tuesday or Wednesday, but we're not anticipating anything particularly. Mig, one win so far from 7. Good start, bad start. What is the start from a Palace perspective?
Well, I think we said when I came on pre-season that, it wasn't the best of starts. And if we could get some points from it, then it'd probably be classed as a good start to the season. I mean, the performances have been there, especially we've just come up against bigger teams. We probably should have done better in some. I mean, late goals like over the weekend, that was inevitable. Gallagher was always going to come on and score in the last minute. So, those sort of things were written in the stars. You can't help those sort of things, but could have probably, if we had held on to that, it would have been a lot more confidence going into fixtures where you would think that we'd have a better chance of winning games rather than grabbing points where we could. But, it could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I'd certainly think there's the meeting game. You had exactly the same last year. These awful fixtures to start with, really. I mean, you've already played Liverpool away, Man City away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal at home. I mean, that could very conceivably be the top 4. That's 4 of your 7 fixtures. And you've also been to Newcastle, which may well be the best of the rest possibly this season. So you definitely had a tough start. I think you're probably a bit disappointed to be below 1 point a game, though, at this stage, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Especially in the games. I think it was only really the Liverpool one where we just kind of got outclassed. Even against City, we were up at half time and then someone switched Haaland on and he just blitzed us anyway. But before the start of the season, looking at the run, if we had a point a game, I'd probably have taken it. But seeing some of the performances, it would have been nice to have got a couple more. But like I said, it could have been less than a point a game.
And Andy, you're 3 points ahead. Is that a bit disappointing though, having taken 7 from the first 3 and only 2 points in the most recent 4?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, after the Chelsea result, we were kind of buoyant, thinking, well, okay, it's really working. The energy's there. And then it's died away since then, really, pretty much. The loss to Brentford was bad. And then we went a month without playing. So yesterday was shocking. But I'm happy enough with 9 points. But yeah, a couple more, I think, from these fixtures would have been better. But yeah, I think we're still unbeaten at home, which is good. So
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, look, 2 wins, 2 draws is fine from the first 4 in terms of home games. If you'd won those Everton and Villa home fixtures, you're probably feeling really, really pleased with how the season's gone. That on Sunday, it felt like it was just 2 teams in the first half just wanted to kick the ball back to each other. Every time any centre-back got the ball, I found it particularly with your team, actually, that it was like, got to get it back forward as quickly as possible. Is that normal? Because I've not seen a lot of you this season, to be honest.
I felt we were trying to play on the front foot because Villa were slowing stuff down a lot and making it difficult for us. And I thought, okay, if we were rushing things, it was bitty. We couldn't really get a flow going. I think we're trying hard to get like a flow going in the first half, and that just made it a horrible game to watch. And then the red card just changes things. But yeah, the first half was horrible. Second half was hanging on, I felt. I didn't enjoy yesterday at all. And someone was really excited to watch it. But I think we try and press, we try and play fast, especially at home, and try and go direct. Marsh likes to be direct and get the ball to the forward as quickly as possible. But yesterday, yeah, it was not nice to watch. Even though there's a couple of good performances, and I'm happy with the determination and desire.
Oh, they worked hard, no question about that. Yeah. But yeah, quality was lacking, I think. And then obviously the red card happens and you end up having to play the game very differently.
Yeah, I think Stuart Atwell's a Man U fan, actually. I looked today. So
is that correct, is it?
Yeah.
Still digging them out, are you? I suppose you're blaming them for not playing the game against you the other week as well.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Mig, on Saturday, when your team lineup dropped, and you see Edouard, Zaha, Ayew, Eze, and Elise all win it at home to Chelsea, what was your reaction?
Surprise. The main surprise was not seeing Anderson there, but he's got a little niggle on his calf, so hopefully he's back soon. But yeah, I did think it was a bit strange that we seemed to be going quite attacking when I thought we would maybe shore up a little bit in the midfield and then maybe have Elise and Edouard and Zaha up front, but then having a lot more solid in the midfield, especially with Anderson not there and having to rely on Ward to come in and play centre back. So yeah, I was very maybe surprised in a good way. Sort of like, oh, we're gonna like try and impose ourselves on Chelsea, which sounds a bit odd, but hopefully try and take the game to them rather than we're just going to sit here for 90 minutes and hopefully catch you on the break one time. But pleasantly surprised. Obviously, hopefully Anderson's back, and Klein was a horrible injury, and hopefully he's probably.
Have they confirmed it? Because I know he was stretchered off. What have they said?
I've seen an ankle injury. I haven't seen an exact quote, but it didn't look very nice.
Yeah. I think Anderson's injury is not serious, and he may even be back as early as the Leeds fixture on Sunday, possibly. But despite playing those 5, Mig, you only had 28% of the ball in the first time. We shouldn't be surprised that Chelsea had the majority of it. But yeah, it seems, let's say, an interesting time to decide to go with essentially one extra attacker. Or are we now looking at this being a regular 3 with Elise and Eze central, do you think, ahead of Decore?
I don't think it would potentially do that for the whole, like, going forward. I mean, we may do it in the odd game. Maybe he was testing out because we're going to be hopefully be more of an attacking side with this run of fixtures that we got up. But Decore certainly hasn't done anything in order to lose his place, and he's probably one of the better defensive ones, certainly in our midfield. So I don't. He was probably hoping for more ball control, especially with some of the like Eze, Elise, Zaha, who can keep the hold of the ball, and then having someone like Edouard to run on, and maybe that didn't work as well as he thought. So maybe he'll just revert back to where we were. Maybe do that sort of second half to try and shore up a game, but I can't see it being a permanent change to our philosophy, as it were.
Yeah, Elise is a really exciting one. I think if we knew he was going to play regularly, we'd be very interested for fantasy. But he does love having Ayew in the wide position, doesn't he, Mick?
He does. He's industrial, you know.
As you've said to us previously.
Exactly. He obviously gets back a lot more than Elise would, and he can pop up with a goal. But yeah, Elise and Eze are definitely the more exciting prospects, and hopefully they would get more game time. But I mean, it's sort of a very divisive thing when you see the lineup and you see Ayew in, and then you see the comments saying, "Oh, like pro Ayew," and then, "Oh my God, can we get Ayew out of the team?" And it seems like a very sort of
quit that, Mick.
Choice.
You're better off not looking at respondents to team lineups and stuff on Twitter. You'll get all sorts. We're saying fantastic cross for Edouard's goal. Do you foresee him being first choice now? Mig is another one, I think, because of this run of fixtures and potential injuries to Isak and possibly Mitrovic at time of recording, that if we could say, right, Edouard's going to play even 6 of the next 7, for example, would like to have some of that. What's your take on it?
Well, I seem to remember a similar thing last January when I said, "Oh yeah, Edouard's probably the most nailed of our forwards out of any of them," and then he disappeared for 2 months, especially after I bought him in. So yeah, I would love to say that he's playing at the moment. So hopefully, I would expect him to play the majority of these games. I mean, Mateta can obviously probably flips a coin at the start of the game and just goes, "Okay, you go in," but I'd like to say so ahead of some of the other people. I mean, if Mitrovic is out, since I just bought him in on a wild card, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is injured. But you know, I why not? You know, what have we got to lose? I mean, someone in my position who's like point something million places can afford to take that sort of punt because they're not highly owned. I mean, who else are you going to go for? Solanke?
Rodrigo, Andy? Since we're on this right here, right now?
Yeah, no, I mean...
I want he's a midfielder, isn't he? What am I talking about?
Yeah. It's a strange one. I mean, Bamford, I was convinced he was going to start. He had 3 weeks to get himself ready, get himself fit. He played under 21s before the break. He looked sharp enough. He looked fit, as like quotation marks, because I think Bamford is still a bit broken. I don't think he's ever going to be right again. So to see the starting lineup yesterday, I thought I'd get 11 out of 11, but I didn't expect Rodrigo to start over Bamford in that forward position.
So Rodrigo was great before the injury, right? So
yeah, but I've said this. I don't think he's in our first 11. Personally, I still don't. I think he slows it down, even though his finishing has been good this season. He's done well at the start of the season with goals. I'd still much rather Bamford's intelligence, Bamford's movement off the ball, Bamford's finishing ability, I think, is maybe on par, but similar. And I think he offers more link in the play to the other 3 attacking midfielders that come into it. So I was surprised not to see Bamford start. I think Bamford did okay when he came on. But to punt on Bamford still, it's not worth it, I don't think.
Do you think Bamford's return, though, could lead to a change of system here, potentially, Andy?
What, with both of them playing?
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that happened in the Brentford game. Bamford came on for Harrison. We changed that up a bit.
Is that part chasing the game, though, in that situation, do you think?
Perhaps. But I don't think... I wouldn't like to say we're going to change it up to the 2 of them. I still think you can't leave out Sinisterra, Aronson and Harrison. I think they're the better ones. So
Sinisterra obviously can't play this weekend.
He can't, so yeah, perhaps.
So there's a different solution to look at. Who would you think would come into the team then?
I think it'd be Bamford. Yeah.
Is that, do you think, dropping Rodrigo deeper and just playing Aronson wide?
Correct, yeah.
Or a 4-2-2-2, is that possible?
No, I still think the 4-2-3-1 with Aronson going right. That's how I see it. Rodrigo and Bamford. That could be interchangeable. That could go to 2 up top, perhaps.
I was expecting on Sunday Sinisterra to play on the right. Would I have been right to be thinking that pre-game?
Yeah.
So that's not how it lined up. Sinisterra obviously played on the left. Is that something that commonly happens, like, depending on opponent, it'll change them up?
I think it's very interchangeable as the front 4 anyway. I think all of them can play different positions. If it's Bamford, he's obviously the target man up top, but the other 3, I think it's part of Marsch's plan to change which side they play on and where they play, just to try and confuse the opposition and play differently, because they're all capable of playing either side. Harrison's fine on the right as well. So there's no issue with that, I think.
It was obviously a unique situation on Sunday against Villa, but I couldn't recall the last time, certainly since Bielsa had gone, that you moved to a back 3. Was this the first time that had happened?
I was surprised to see that happen. The substitution, what was the substitution? It was like to go 5 at the back or 3 at the back with...
We went 5-3-1, didn't we? For a while, we just left Adams in midfield, which, watching the game as a neutral, I was feeling pain for Tyler Adams for a lot of that second half.
Yeah. I was surprised to see that. I don't know if he was still trying to chase the game a bit.
I think he was still trying to win it.
It's
credible about it.
If you're doing those 3 in midfield and doing 5 at the back, or the 3 at the back with the wing backs, perhaps he's thinking we can get chances still, like if we're solid enough. But then we've got these players to kind of go forward and we can still create, and maybe why not? So it was brave, but I thought when that happened in the last half hour, I was like, Villa got a score. It's going to happen, because things were opening up. They just didn't take advantage of it. And yeah, I think Villa missed a trick. I think other teams would have been all right against 10 men.
I know you thought Cooper was going to come back into the team for Llorente. Is that through a want, or is that just what you thought Jesse Marsch would do?
Llorente has been struggling a lot this season. And Cooper's club captain, he hasn't done too much wrong. And The fans are calling for it. A couple of goals have been Llorente's fault. He's not been at it. So I think it's the right decision to play CotC and Cooper, with Cooper being back fit. So, and I think Cooper and CotC did well.
Okay. What do you make of Palace, Andy? What do you think of them?
Good team. I see as a team that are fast, individually can just take it round players, and similar to us as quite direct team. We'll try and get it forward as quickly as possible.
This run of fixtures that they've got is hugely attractive. I think especially, and just to run through these fixtures, which essentially, with respect, Andy, does start with a home match against yourselves. Leicester away, Wolves at home, Everton away, Southampton at home, West Ham away, Nottingham Forest away. I think the fact that it's even punctuated by the fact it has a full stop on the end, i.e. you can get rid of 3 Palace players if you have them before they come into difficult fixtures because of the unlimited transfers, makes this such an appealing run of fixtures. Andy, you told us off camera you're going with 3.
Yeah, I mean, this week I'm doing Saka to Zaha. I'm pretty certain that's going to happen. Obviously, with a blank, and I've still got 3 Arsenal players, so that's for me is the obvious move this week. And then come wildcard, I either want to go double up on defence, whether that be the keeper or defender or double Palace defenders, or even do I go for another attacker and maybe Eze? So, but I think come wildcard in 13.
Are you wildcard in 13? Are you happy to wait? Are you happy to wait till then, though, before you get any Palace defensive?
Yeah, because I haven't got any. Like my moves out will be the Arsenal players over the next couple of weeks, and I've got 3 Arsenal attackers. So if I had an Arsenal defender, yeah, I'd probably go to a Palace defender. But my transfer's out of the Arsenal guys, so I'm going to move 1 to Zaha. I'm going to move another 1 to Eze at this stage.
And preference for defensive? If you're just going with 1, Andy?
Yeah, Guehi 4.3, isn't it? I mean, if he's not playing, he's a good 12th man to have, 90-minute man. Palace are good defensively, I think, and especially against weaker teams, they'll get some clean sheets before the World Cup, definitely.
Are you a weaker team, Andy?
Yes.
The pain on Andy's face is magical at the moment.
Probably weaker than we played at the moment. Weaker than Palace. Is a different thing.
No, I think Palace are a better team.
I think Leeds is very much a work in progress. Mig, you're a little bit further along the line in terms of development. I think even if the league table tells us a little bit different at the moment, it's in terms of defensive options. Mig, is that the right call? Guehi at 4.3.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I got him in this week on my wild card. You can't really. I mean, it's the only other options are Ward now, Mitchell, Anderson. If he comes, if he's back this game. But obviously, if you'd gone for him, then he's gone. And then if he doesn't come in, then it's probably Tompkins at 4 mil. But he's only going to play like 1 game. So to not
3.9 currently.
Well, all go in on Tompkins then. I don't know what the...
No, Mig does not mean that unless Joachim Anderson is ruled out for 2 months.
1 week punt on Tompkins.
I guess if there was a serious issue about Anderson, though, Tompkins would quickly become interesting now at 3.9 with his Klein injury as well, wouldn't he? But what's the situation with Chris Richards?
That one I don't know. I did check the Ben Dinnery thing, and he didn't have Cliff on there, so I'm not too sure how badly he is. So he may be back on the bench, and he may be in contention, and Tompkins may never get near the team again. So I'd probably say Guehi is the safest pick and the cheapest.
For the benefit of the audio listeners, Cliff, an intentional mistake for those who haven't quite worked out Mig's humour as yet.
My mum's favourite artist. I can't help but say it.
Well, when Richards was brought in, we had a suspicion about 3 at the back, which we spoke about, and we thought no, that wouldn't work. Then we saw you play it at Liverpool and Manchester City, but it was done with like Ward as right-sided centre-back, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's you love him. He's been with us for quite a while, but centre-back is not his strongest position, I don't think.
He's definitely going to play right-back now, isn't he, Ward?
Yes.
I think when most people look at it, often you want to go for a fullback when you're picking defensive players. That never feels the case with you, Mig. He's right to go with one of the centre backs, isn't it? Really, I think.
Yeah, they're the ones that get the bonus points. They help with the clean sheets. We're not ones with fullbacks that are going to thrust up the pitch and get crosses in all the time. They're more of a defensive back four, and then we rely on our attacking players to get the balls in and stuff like that. So if you're going for solid points and with the hope of clean sheets and then bonus points because of clearances and passes and whatever else they put into the bonus points, then yeah, one of the back two is to go for. Obviously, Anderson was one of the better shouts at the start because of his pinpoint long passes. He's getting all those sort of bonus points, but for the price, for what that extra 0.2 can probably do for you, then Guehi is probably the better choice. I don't know why he's dropped twice, but
yeah, do they both go up for corners and set pieces and stuff? Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, it's usually Mitchell and Ward that sort of hang back and allow those two guys to go up.
Yeah, I was just looking. Anderson had 4 assists last season, no goals, but has scored already at the Etihad this season. Guehi was 2 goals, 1 assist. There was nothing at all for Ward in terms of attacking returns. Mitchell, 2 assists. I like Mitchell. I think he's a very good defensive player, but it doesn't appeal from an FPL perspective unless he was cheaper. If Guehi was 4.5 and Mitchell was 4.3, we'd probably be saying just buy Mitchell, wouldn't we?
Yeah, just go for whichever one's cheapest and hope for the best, pretty much.
Yeah, it seems the logical one. There's no question marks on Guehi playing, I don't think.
No.
What about the keeper situation, Mig? I keep telling people to tread very carefully with Gator. How do you feel about it? It's just historically knowing that there was a couple of random ones last year where suddenly like Butland came in goal.
There was a couple, because I've had a couple of people ask on Twitter and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, he got dropped for Butland, didn't he?" And he did get dropped for a couple, but he did have like a fractured finger for, I think it was just before Christmas when Butland came in. But yeah, my general answer was that I don't think he'll just be dropped out of the blue and Johnston just appear in the team. It may take like another, even if it's just a little finger injury, just to sort of open the door for Johnston to sort of step in, and then he may not get his place back. There were question marks over his performance at the weekend. I mean, he's done well this season. I don't think he would get dropped out of the blue, but it's a very sort of a couple of bad performances, and Vieira may go, right, I'll try Johnston, much like Ramsdale did with Arsenal. Leno has a few bad performances. He says, right, we'll try the new guy, and then they never get back into the team. So I'd be very wary. Up to the World Cup, you might be all right. Further than that, you're getting into dangerous territory, I think.
So I'm just looking back on last season and Gator's minutes in the league. So he missed the 2-2 draw at home to Southampton, which I think was the finger issue. Then he missed the 1-1 draw at Brighton when Butland saved a penalty from Gross. Gator came straight back in for the Liverpool game. Gator also missed Burnley at home in February. And he also missed both league games in Gameweek 37 as well, the draw with Villa and the defeat at Goodison Park. So there's 3 separate occasions. They weren't all injuries.
No, I think one of them, the Brighton one, I think, because Butland done well in the FA Cup. So I think he retained him for the next game, much like Mateta did. I think one may have been sickness, quote unquote sickness. But then, yeah, I think I not towards the end of the season. I think he may have just been like dropped because I think there was a congestion of games, so he probably just dropped him for the 2 and stuck him back in for 38. But yeah, something like that can happen. But the Butland obviously didn't see much in what Butland done towards the end of the season, just stuck him straight back in. Whereas Johnston may have a couple of belter performances and then Guaita never sees the goal again. He's in the final year of his contract as well. So
I think it's the nervousness as well as knowing that game week 12, you really want it because it's Wolves at home. And that feels like if there was to be a point of change, almost feels like it could be the most likely point. Where if he decides, right, I want to give Johnson a run out, for example, Johnson's going to be bashing on the door thinking, I've still maybe got half a shot getting in on the World Cup here. And I'm just a bit nervous about it. I think if people want Gator, it's fine. It's not a panic. You probably got the great Danny Ward on the sub in place.
The safety net we all need.
Yeah, but that's nervous as well, isn't it? You don't want Johnson and Everson to play, do you?
This is going to look really silly because we're recording this prior to Leicester Forest. Who knows? We're releasing this. Maybe Ward's kept a clean sheet and say 2 penalties. We're like a right pair of prats at this stage, wouldn't we? Meslier worth considering. Is it the opposite for you, Andy? Where I think for Mig, it's worth advising probably Guehi defensively. If someone wants a bit of Leeds defensively, is it the opposite? Go with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I would say so. And it happened where it does happen a few times this season. Yesterday, where we keep a clean sheet, Meslier gets 6 saves, maximum bonus, 11 points. And it we get less clean sheets than a lot of teams, but that cancels it out when we do get a clean sheet and Meslier picks up a double-digit return. So I don't mind getting Meslier in at all. I think it's a good option to have because our defenders don't rack up the bonus points, particularly. There's blocks and stuff. And
Strack's had a few returns though, hasn't he, this season? Or he's good. One assist at Southampton. Is he like to continue at left back? Is it just a mess because Firpo's not up to it? Or I know he's been injured recently.
Yeah, I don't think Strack's done anything wrong at all. And for me, I think he's the first choice left back until Dallas comes back. And even then, I think Strack's been good enough where it should be CotC and Strack.
And centre back.
At centre back, yeah. I mean, Strack is the one that's targeted for set pieces. He's like the go-to guy. So. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with going Strack as the defender because I still think he's going to start. Yeah.
If someone was on wildcard now, Andy, and wanted a Leeds defensive, just one name for us.
Meslier.
Okay. Talk to me if you can, Andy, about the midfield too. Not from a fantasy perspective, just generally Tyler Adams and Mark Rocker.
Yeah, for me, the stars of the season. Adams is being called the American Batty, which is like how he
David
plays.
Batty.
That means a whole different thing down South London.
Unbelievable. You could have warned me, Andy.
I meant David Batty. Yeah, of course. Sorry.
Formerly of Blackburn and Newcastle.
Yes. But yeah, he does all the dirty stuff well. He gets across the pitch well. Rocker's equally someone that is a great passer, distribute well, both physical presence, both like to get involved. Determination is what you want, and to have two DMs in there, this gives us more protection and more chance of getting a clean sheet. So, I really like master structure and nailing down what he's trying to do week in, week out, and not change it too much. And I think those 2 signings will keep us well afloat. Just the stability of it.
Yeah, I think they've made a good start. I think they complement each other well in the sense they're very different players. Some of Rocker's passing was a little bit off yesterday, I thought, but like what I've seen so far.
He's been good before yesterday. Yeah, I think he was right to get hooked yesterday. He wasn't quite on it.
And what did you make of the red card for Sinistera?
Silly, wasn't it? Stupid. I think it's a red card. He's put his foot up for the second yellow. Like, just don't do it. It's a booking, isn't it, these days? So,
what would you say to people who've gone in on him? Hold through this week, or I guess it's probably squad selective what you've got on the bench and stuff. But
yeah,
if you owned, would you be happy to hold on for another week?
I think you hold on, but I've said Harrison all along, all season. Still,
why?
I think Harrison's more direct, shoots more, set pieces. Sinistera is more of a flair player that will get the odd goal here and there, but I don't think he's as much of a goal getter as Harrison is.
Do you think? I mean, its record was great in Holland last year, Sinistera, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I know it's Holland, but
yeah,
have we heard that before?
The way I see it.
Yeah, Holland and his Bundesliga tax. By the way, someone's screaming in my ear. I'm sure.
I mean, the way I've seen it from the games is, I think Harrison's getting into the box more. taken on shots more, and Sinisterra's been out wide, not getting to the box. I know he's got the goal from outside the box and stuff, but yeah, I would still hold on. We've got fixtures that are kind of mixed, and there's games that you'd want to start him, but equally you can probably bench him if your squad's big enough.
Are they too pricey for that, Harrison and Sinister? Are they too pricey to be looking at Liverpool away in 14, subject to the status of Liverpool at that time? Are they too pricey to be benching? Because I think the problem is, after Liverpool, it's Bournemouth at home. So you would have the temptation to hold on more if you've still got, I think.
Yeah. What's Sinister? Is he 6'4" now?
Sinister is 6'5".
6'5". And Harrison's 6'3" or something, 6'1".
Harrison is 6'1".
6'1". There's not much difference, is there? And it's always that 6 million is tough to bench, isn't it? If you've got the money to move upwards to like a Zaha, then I think it's an easy decision.
Well, that's next question. If you've got the money sitting there and you're a Sinister owner and you can get the Wilfried Zaha, do you do it, Andy?
I think you do, yeah. And there's enough 8 million mids as well that I think if you got even more money, they can go get another one.
Mig, we spend so many of these pods where you're talking about Wilf, whether he's in good form, bad form, good mood, bad mood. Can you give any reason for people not to invest in Wilfried Zaha at 7.3 at the time of recording?
I don't think so. It's one of the, obviously, a lot of these selections are fixture dependent, fixture led. I mean, we got a good run of games. I mean, looking at the reverse fixtures from last season, he scored 3 goals out of the 9 games. I mean, we already got 10 points, obviously excluding the Forest game. You mean the
ones who've gone?
Or no, the ones coming up.
Okay.
Where I looked at what they were last season, obviously excluding the Forest one, and then the Bournemouth one for the season before. But he got 3 goals, but Ayew got 3 goals. So I mean, it's the sort of thing where
that's not selling it, Mick.
Exactly. I mean, it's a run of games. They all look good. They all look green. They all look happy. But is it a trap? No, buy him. Everyone buy him. I've got him. What's the worst that could happen?
Is there anything to be said that actually he's better off with more difficult fixtures?
Potentially. I mean, obviously, with the bigger teams, they tend not to throw 3 players onto him to defend him when they've got the ball most of the time, and he's able to run a bit freer, get on the counter attack, much like he did with Liverpool when he had half the pitch to himself, score the goal. Against teams lower down the league, you're not going to get that much space unless they're playing poor on the day. So there is a tendency to see a bunch of green fixtures and think, oh yeah, he's going to wallop in 5-6 goals, and then he doesn't get a chance because he's got half the defense on him. Hopefully that would open it up for other ones like Edouard I mentioned earlier, or Elise or Eze, to hopefully find the space and grab the goals. But I'm hoping, especially as an owner and a fan foremost, that he does push on, because he's had a good start to the season. He has scored after the window's closed, which is good. And so hopefully he can push on and get some more. But fingers crossed.
Some would say 2 blanks in a row. Newcastle away and Chelsea at home, 3 points and 2 points. But no, look, he's 4 goals so far in 6 starts is perfectly reasonable, and that's considering there's obviously been some very tough fixtures in there. I want to give you a bit of a quick fire, Mig. So would you sell Bowen for Zaha this week?
Yes.
Would you sell Maddison for Zaha?
No.
Why is that different?
Let's hope
Maddison is still fit.
Yeah, obviously, depending on the future that we don't know. I think it's just the form that Maddison has had over the last few games, rather than Bowen, who's just he's done well last game. I think the form, and Maddison seems like the only real one in Leicester that's getting any attacking returns that I can see. Whereas players like Skamaka and stuff may start proving that they can actually get some points for them. But I think it's just the form over the season so far that Maddison has had in a poor performing team, rather than Bowen, who sort of
He'll
maybe
probably
just
remind you of that poor
his...
performing team in game week 11, by the way, Mig.
Yeah.
Would you sell Saka or Martinelli for Zaha?
As someone who has Martinelli, I probably wouldn't. I think Martinelli, although he had a slow start to the game against Arsenal, I think he sort of bossed the second half a bit more. Saka was a bit on and off. I mean, obviously he grew into the game as well. But
I don't need more details on the North London derby, Mig. Honestly, mate.
Oh yeah, you were there. Sorry, you saw it all. But
I just don't want any more details on it. Once was enough from me.
But no, I think if you had like a couple of Arsenal guys, I think you'd. Well, then I do have Liverpool next. That would be a bit tougher because they're in form. You know, Palace form is very up and down. Arsenal are, you know, they're doing quite well. So you probably want to keep hold of them until you have to lose them.
Yeah, I hear that. So I think in summary, where we are with Zaha is get there if you can, but actually the player that you might have been thinking of selling in many cases, maybe you shouldn't sell. Do you think, Andy, it's essential, I said it, to have Wilfried Zaha at home to Leeds?
No, not essential. Not essential. I think it's a very good move. I think it's a move that people should make to get in at the start of the nice run. But I don't think it's essential.
Would you expect him to return against you, Andy?
I would, yeah.
Why?
But is he going to play up top though as well? Or is he, because he's more wide against Chelsea, wasn't he?
I think that's one for Mig.
Yeah, I think he's been more wide with you probably have like Edouard or Mateta up along with him. Well, at least he says he starts it out wide, but he'd probably be the furthest forward player. He tends to be the one that hangs on the halfway line, and then Edouard or Mateta sort of goes back and acts more like a midfielder defender. So yeah, he'd probably be the most advanced player on the pitch.
Mm.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, Mig's right there, Andy. I think in certain games like Liverpool away where he's played up front, I think it's a lot to do with the opposition and stuff. I think we may see it more perhaps later in games, Mig, when you're winning, like if you're 2-1 up late in the game. I think he can leave Will through the centre, so he's not got to worry about what he's having to do defensively, for example. But yeah, I think getting one-on-one wide. With that, go on, Andy.
Yeah, I just think that's key. I think if Palace get ahead, then you'd back Zaha to score more. I think the longer it stays 0-0, or if we're ahead, then spaces become tight, and it becomes a lot attritional game.
Presumably, Christensen will go up against him on Sunday.
Yeah, I presume so. Yeah.
How do you feel about that matchup?
That'd be nervous. Hopefully, avoids the booking. I mean, he's so aggressive, and Zaha could get some joy from that. I expected more from him. I think he started quite slowly. There's aggression there. I think as Zaha can beat him for like pace and trickery, and if he gets an early booking, I think he'll come off early.
I've yet to see from Christensen what the hype was in the summer.
Yeah,
and all I mean by that is it's not a criticism of him as a player. The hype of what he could be as an offensive FPL asset, I haven't seen it yet.
No. I expected him to be the bombing forward down that right side and really like be high and wide, and it's not happened at all. We're kind of reserved in our back four, and they're kind of sticking there. Maybe it's different because we haven't got a proper left back in. So if that changes, but I don't know why that's not happened yet.
Mig, any Leeds players in your team at the moment?
No.
Any plans?
I do have Strike in a rival fantasy game.
Okay, cool. We can do rival fantasy. We don't even like the fantasy game we played, do we? We don't mind rival fantasy games.
You know, we hate ourselves as well. That's why we do it.
Andy, have you got any?
I haven't got any, no.
Any plans?
Not particularly.
On this upcoming wild card in 13, which would be walking straight into what, Fulham at home?
Yeah, then Fulham, is it Liverpool then after
that? Yes, then Liverpool, then Bournemouth, then Tottenham. And you don't have that kind of cluster of really good run. You have a good fixture, bad fixture, almost, if you will.
I can't see me going with the defender. It would be a Leeds defender if I was going to get anyone. If maybe one of them drops to 4.3, like if Cooper drops to 4.3 or something like that, then maybe I put him on the bench. But I can't see myself going Leeds now.
Don't do it for Twitter likes, will you, Andy? For God's sakes, mate.
I love my Twitter likes, James. You know
that. I know you do, mate. I have to admit that prior to the weekend, Sinistera was on my mind a lot, mate. I really liked it as a differential punt, and I think those who went there and have had the red card are really unlucky because obviously after the suspension, you are then walking into Arsenal at home as well. So it's difficult to make the case not to, if you can move that to Zaha now, then I think you do ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, the Villa fixture was the one I had down as like a 3-0 win on Sunday. I thought month off, back at a good time, 4:30 on a Sunday afternoon, everyone up for it, and it was just horrible. Yeah.
What's a bad time, Andy?
What's that?
What's a bad time? You said it was a good time. What's a bad time?
12:30 on a Saturday.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, mate. Tell me about it. Dear, right, I'll move quickly on to Palace now that I've said that. I've got Guehi, Mig, which I'm happy about. I got him in a few weeks ago on my own wildcard, and I knew, and I got him at 4.4, he was probably going to lose price, but I kind of knew that the investment would come back once he drops to clear cheapest. So I think, if anybody was going in now, I think it's definitely him. I don't think I can get to Wilf, purely because of like what I mentioned, Bowen, Maddison, Martinelli. I don't really want to get rid of them with the fixtures that they've got specifically this week. But one of the things I did want to ask you as well, Mig, because when I say I can't get there, I might not be able to get there this week as it stands. Game week 12, Salah's got West Ham at home. There aren't great alternatives for captaincy as it stands that week. I'd be a brave person who would trust Trent at the moment, I think, for captaincy. Obviously, Arsenal City don't play. Manchester United and Tottenham play each other. Got Reece James at Brentford. Leeds go to Leicester. Got Wilf at home to Wolves, Mig. Captain?
When I've done my initial future planning, which didn't take very long, I did think, I'm probably going to, I'm going to probably stick the armband on him for against Wolves. We tend to do, they're normally quite cagey games, but we tend to do reasonably well against Wolves. So I'm hoping, especially at home, I think of the options we've got, basically Haaland not playing, I think Wilf could be a relatively good shout,
Yeah,
especially if you want to spice up a bit,
I think there's some open ones that week. We've got decent home fixtures. You've got Zaha at home to Wolves. You've got Trossard at home to Forest. We'll win at this kind of similar price bracket as well. And if I said to you, game week 12, you had to captain Wilfried Zaha at home to Wolves or James Maddison at home to Leeds, who would you captain?
I'd go Zaha. I think he's more explosive. Zaha is someone who can get a haul. I think Maddison you'd expect maybe one return, but Zaha could get 2 goals and stuff. So I think I'd go Zaha. I mean, I'm looking at Trent that week. I know it's mad considering how bad Liverpool defence have been, and
nothing's mad in this game, mate.
I think West Ham at Anfield. I can't see him scoring, so I think Trent as like a last hurrah, perhaps, form a wild card.
Okay, that's West Ham goal at Anfield, fairly locked in for certainty there. By the way, can I just say, then? If between recording this at 7:30 on Monday night and us releasing this on Thursday lunchtime, something has happened to James Maddison, who somehow keeps getting into this podcast, I will replace him with Wilfried Zaha. That's fairly certain in my mind. Guys, thank you so much for that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Mig, let's have a correct score prediction before we let you go, mate.
1-1.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you on that. Andy?
I was actually going to say 1-1 as well.
Mig, why 1-1?
I think maybe the confidence might have been a bit knocked. We haven't been the strongest defensively, so I think we could still sort of concede a goal, but I don't think it would be a massively high-scoring game.
And Andy, is drawing at Selhurst Park a good result for you?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, it feels rude not to just agree with you both then. It's a bit dull. that 1-1 possibly is a sensible call. No, I'm gonna stick my neck out. I'm gonna go 2-1 Palace. Sod you, Mick. I'm gonna overrule you. This is the start of 7 wins, and no, you ain't gonna win 7 games in a row, mate. Yeah, I'll back you. I'll back you 2-1. I think big. Where can everyone follow you on Twitter, Mig?
It's at Migtavius, Migtavius.
Fantastic. And Andy?
It's FPL_tactician.
FPL_tactician. This is the bit where I have to preview next week's Clash of the Correspondents and can't remember what it is. It's Southampton versus West Ham with Matt Samuel and Chris Stone. Southampton actually have a decent run of fixtures in between playing Man City in 10 and Liverpool in 16. I wonder if Matt can recommend any Saints to us, and we'll certainly be talking to Chris about Jared Bowen and others next week. But just leaves me to say thanks again to Mig and to Andy. Good luck this weekend, gents. Cue music, please, man child.